We're going to walk down Pennsylvania Avenue, and we're going to the Capitol.
By and large, it was peaceful protest.
It was a zero threat. Right from the start, it was zero threat.
On January 6, 2021, following a defeat of President Donald Trump in the 2020 election, over 2,000 individuals attacked the United States Capitol. The crowd was fueled by the former president and right-wing news outlets spreading conspiracies and lies surrounding the election results. These mistellings built up into the anger of the day and results in lasting impacts on our nation's media and democracy.
What makes this important and relevant to be included in our time capsule? The United States has almost never seen democracy, the very foundation this country was built upon, come so close to crashing down at our feet. Watching the news and scrolling through social media on January 6, 2021, was shocking and frightening for most of the citizens in this country. An attempted government overthrow of this nature had not been attempted since the 1930s, making witnessing this jarring and extreme event unfold a horrifying shock to many Americans. However, the insurrection of the Capitol was not an isolated event. During and following the occurrences on January 6th, social media and news coverage of the riots transitioned from the reportings of the events at the Capitol, such as the congressional vote, to covering the violent attack of democracy. During the riots, quote, "It took time for many reporters and producers to realize what was going on and shift their coverage as congressional correspondents turned into war correspondents, phoning in reports as they ducked for cover." Quote. In contrast, it did not take long for the media coverage of the events to begin enforcing the already strained partisan divides. Polarization in the media has been present for decades, with a sharp increase surrounding the 2016 election. However, the January 6th Capitol riots prompted a fresh wave of intense and damaging partisanship in the United States.
They were peaceful, they were orderly and meek. These were not insurrectionists, they were sightseers. They're not destroying the Capitol, they obviously revere the Capitol.
The way the media could, quote, turn something that's an assault on a constitutional process into a moment of triumph and a sort of lodestar for what's to come doesn't bode well for American democracy.
The insurrection was a coordinated effort on the part of right-wing groups to change election results. By Wednesday mid-afternoon, a Facebook group called Stop the Steal was created and quickly became one of the fastest-growing platforms in history. By Thursday morning, it had added more than 300,000 members. Many of the posts focused on allegations of mass voter fraud. Rather than find acceptance in the election result, this group bounced off of one another's misleading ideas, highlighting the psychological phenomenon of groupthink. Overall, the election, which ultimately spurred the riot, was filled with controversy and uncertainty, and the behaviors of those in charge are what led these citizens to believe that their actions were not only okay, but encouraged.
Looking into media economics, it becomes all too clear why so much inaccurate information spreads, which fueled the riots and alter the current political climate. NPR states in the days and weeks after the 2020 elections, Fox News Channel repeatedly broadcast false claims that then-President Donald Trump had been cheated of victory. Off the air, the network's stars, producers, and executives expressed contempt for those same conspiracies, calling them mind-blowingly nuts, totally off the rails, and completely BS. Bill Salmon wrote, "It's remarkable how weak ratings make good journalists do bad things." Motivated by money, Fox News, in addition to other right-wing news sources, choose to knowingly spread disinformation to benefit themselves financially. This vicious system of media economics rewards news outlets for completely taking advantage of trusting media consumers who are at risk of internalizing fake information as fact, contributing to extremely polarized views based on lies.
Throughout the 2020 election, it became clear how prevalent participatory culture is, a culture in which it is relatively easy for people to create and share their own content and build connections with others that often reflect and deepen the dynamics of an East nation. For instance, as the possibility of a Republican win seemed bleaker, many right-wing users and politicians began to push the notion that the election was stolen from them through online platforms. Dozens of tweets by President Trump throughout the election supported conspiracies and allegations that were all transmitted to his 88 million followers. According to the 65 days that led to chaos at the Capitol from BBC News, at 2:21 Eastern Standard Time on election night, President Trump walked into a stage set up in the East Room of the White House and declared victory.
We were getting ready to win this election. Frankly, we did win this election.
He hadn't won. There was no victory to steal, but to many of his most fervent supporters, these facts didn't matter and still don't. Hashtags among users and creators grew substantially after the election, totaling almost 3 million tweets. Although Twitter and Facebook eventually cracked down on these posts and blocked Donald Trump, radical groups found other channels to create content. Sites like 4chan, Reddit, Telegram, and more were used to spread these conspiracies and plan out violent attacks. These sites were also used to coordinate the riots and plan where to strike best. In relation to the audience, a survey conducted by Pew Research Center summarizes American reactions to the riots. Overall, Democrats displayed negative emotions while Republicans expressed doubts about who was behind the riot.
The January 6th Capitol riot was one of the most polarizing events in U.S. political and media history. The event represented a culmination of 4 years of hatred, lies, and right-wing propaganda that eventually led to unnecessary violence. As media citizens, it is necessary to examine how certain media outlets spread misinformation, disinformation, and conspiracies. The riot highlighted how susceptible viewers are and how important fact-checking and the truth are in the media. This event is something we are still dealing with today, with the Fox News lawsuits, Proud Boys indictments, and the future trial of President Donald Trump. Acknowledging that each member of our group identifies as mostly left-leaning, we found it difficult to truly understand how these individuals were so easily exploited and targeted by right-wing media. Our political beliefs and understanding of the event made us have a completely separate view from those held by many Republicans. Despite this, as we navigated through this project, we made sure to balance taking a critical position with acknowledging the different forms of expression. We found it especially helpful that all group members witnessed the riot live on television, making us more understanding of the event and giving us an emotional connection to the event. We hope you enjoyed our time capsule and now understand why the 2021 Capitol riots should be remembered at this moment in our media history.